So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my wife, Michelle Carrier. Just remembered I'm driving past this melting pot. I don't know if any of you have ever been to it, but it's a extremely romantic restaurant. I'll walk in here in a minute. But I remember when we were dating, I don't know if we were engaged yet. I'm pretty sure we had just started dating. And she had saved up quite a bit of money to take me to this place for my birthday. And I didn't really get a whole lot of big birthday celebrations when I was growing up. We usually just had cake, and it was pretty cool, but we really didn't make a big deal out of birthdays. Well, Michelle and her family and my new families that I married into make a big deal out of people's birthdays, and they showed me what it's like to be blessed and loved and appreciated. And so anyways, my wife worked at Meijer, pushing carts and stocking shelves, making, I don't know, probably minimum wage when we started dating. And she probably dropped a good $100 at least. I don't know if you've ever been to the melting pot, but she dropped a good $100 to take me out and show me how much she loved me on my birthday. So I also am reminded of a list that I made. A mentor of mine told me to make a list of the type of wife that I might eventually want one day while I'm married many years later. I hadn't even started looking for a wife yet, but I made a list of 22 different qualities, characteristics, everything from hair color and eye color to family type, morals, personality, body structure, I mean everything. You name it. And I found that list about 2 years or a year or two after we got married. And I was so blessed because every item on that list I found. Well, he found for me. And so let's take a quick walk through the melting pot. If you've never been here, you need to bring your wife or your significant other here. This place is amazing. So I'll probably be a little quieter because the atmosphere in here is kind of quiet and laid back. So here's a little example of it's called a fondue place, and they heat up the table, and you're just nice and relaxed and alone. And this is where we went when we were on our date. I'm like just sneaking in here. Nobody knows I'm here. Let's see. Yep, this is it. This is where we sat at this nice little corner booth all by ourselves. Nobody around, and it was extremely romantic. So highly recommend it if you're trying to bring some romance back into your marriage. This is the place. So yeah, it looks like I picked a time where there's hardly anybody here, so see if I can find somebody to engage in conversation with. Yeah, in fact, we actually went here twice. I think we also were in this seat one time. But we always walk in divine favor and blessing, and we pretty much are always experiencing the finer, just the fact that we are able to have that number one seat, in the house that's off by ourselves. When we were dating, we would always find the best parking spot. I always gave glory and honor to the Lord that when we would pull up to a place, looks like there's nobody around. So yeah, so that's the melting pot. But I would always give God the glory and the honor that He would just always show me favor. I could probably brag a little too much on this, but it was just crazy to know that we would always have the best. Yeah, kind of rambling now, but I'm gonna say bye for now. But Michelle, just want to say I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm very thankful that the Lord has brought us together till death do us part. I look forward to renewing our vows someday and maybe re-going to the melting pot. I just drove past the Troy Community Center, which is where we had our wedding reception, which was top notch, which is awesome. I don't know how we were able to have a beautiful wedding like we did with making, pretty much a minimum wage salary. But divine favor and the blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it, no painful toiling adding to it. And we are blessed beyond belief. We are the head and not the tail. We are above and not beneath. We are more than conquerors through him who loves us. And we are out of debt. Our needs are met. We have plenty more to put in store. And I've been learning how to change my verbiage. I've got a YouTube playlist I'm going to share with you, or I'll share on this self-talk, declarations, prayer. I'm going to put a link in the description below. It's a YouTube playlist that I've made that will help you to learn how to speak life into your marriage, your finances, your family, because we are snared by the words of our mouth. There is creative power of death and life in the tongue, and they that love it shall eat thereof, or eat the fruit thereof. And so we just need to be mindful of what we speak, what we think, and what we do. And it all starts with our thoughts. We have to take our thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ, casting down every imagination and every high thing that tries to exalt itself against the true knowledge of God. And the true knowledge of God is the blessing, is active in our lives. And we can agree and partner with the blessing, and we can agree and partner with the favor and the grace upon our lives, and we can walk in the blessing, walk in favor, walk in abundance. Jesus came that we might have life and have it more abundantly. It's the devil that comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and to keep us in poverty and lack and strife and depression and anger and all these things that the Bible talks about. The Bible is written to Christians, and so there's things that the Bible warns us about to keep us on the right path. Because I seen something on somebody's desk yesterday. It said a dead fish goes with the flow. So you can't just go with the flow. If you really want to be walking in the blessing, if you want to be walking in the favor and the abundance and walking in righteousness and holiness, you can't just go with the flow. You can't just allow yourself to coast through life. You have to go against the grain. You have, like a salmon. I don't know if anybody has ever been salmon fishing, but salmon swim against the current. They swim against the flow of the river. They swim upstream. And I'm just reminded, my wife is probably not going to appreciate me sharing this story, but I'm going to share another story of me and my wife. I took her canoeing one time, and I believe we were married, I'm pretty sure we were married at this point. And we went down the Rifle River up north, and it was about a 3 hour, not a 3 hour tour. It wasn't the Gilligan's Island, even though I unfortunately told her when we got about 2 hours into it, she said, "How do we get back?" And I said, "Oh, the Drury Inn." So this is another flashback here. I'm going to flip the camera. So this is the Drury Inn. This is where we got to go on our first, the first night of our wedding, after our wedding night. What do you call it? Our first, on our honeymoon. So we spent the night there, and then we drove the next morning to Florida, into Disney World. But anyways, that hotel was a blessing. Somebody in our family actually paid for that hotel room. They actually went to the hotel room before we got there, and they put flowers and candles and all kinds of stuff all over the place. It was just very romantic, and it was just a blessing. Once again, walking in the blessing. We're broke. We weren't broke, but we were financially, we didn't have a whole lot. Like I said, we were probably not making much. I wasn't making much more than minimum wage when we got married, plus overtime and that. But we were tithers, and we were believers, and we were sowers and we were reapers, and we were reaping the benefits of putting the Lord first and trusting Him with the 10%, the whole tithe. You know, trying Him in this. He says in Malachi 3, He says, try me in this. You know, try the tithe. Try giving me the 10% first, and watch me bless your 90%. Watch me substantially increase you more than you could ever be increased with holding your 100%. It takes faith to give 10%, especially when you're making 10, 11 bucks an hour and, you know, you're trying to support a family. And, you know, it's a little scary sometimes. But when you know who that you trust in, if you know Him, He will provide all of your needs according to His riches and glory by Christ Jesus, like He said He would. I have another YouTube video. It's a short, well, it's a kind of a longer testimony of how the Lord supernaturally prospered us, doubled our income, cut our work time in half. So I was making double the amount of money in half the time. So if you get a chance, go on my YouTube, type in the word, or if you go into YouTube, just type in Nick Carrier Wealth or Nick Carrier Finances. It'll pop up a playlist of about 20 different videos. And one of them is Rags to Riches Story, where I explain how the Lord has done that. But yeah, back to my, I know I'm off on a tangent here, but where was I at? Where was I at? I was explaining something. Oh, the canoe ride. Yeah, so so we're on our canoe, and so she asked me how we get back. And I said, well, we gotta go back. We gotta start paddling the other way. I'm like, do you want to start now? And I felt so horrible, but you know, she was young, I was young, and she had never been canoeing before, and I had been several times, and I was a kidder and a jokester, and her dad and I are pretty similar in the fact that we unfortunately have humor that is not always funny, especially to those around us. So anyways, we start paddling against the river current for about 5 minutes. We're like literally going against the current, and she's like, there is no way. Like, she's just freaking out, like, how on earth are we gonna get back to the car? Like, that was 2 hours of going downstream. You're telling me we've got to paddle all the way up, and we had dragonflies swarming after us and like touching us, and it was hot, and the sun was beating down on us. There's not a cloud in the sky. We're sweating. We're going against there. After about 5 minutes, I just couldn't have. I didn't have the heart to keep going. I'm kind of a jerk. Forgive me, Michelle, not only for doing that, but now sharing this, but. I don't mean to embarrass you, but yeah, sometimes we look back upon our lives and try and laugh about it. But yeah, so the moral of the story is you really need to go against the grain. You can't just coast in life. You can't just coast. Like right now, if I keep my hands off the wheel, I'm gonna hit the curb. You know, I'm not gonna make it home. I have to hold on to the wheel. I have to steer. Let the car do the work, but just steer. You know, just keep on the right path. You don't have to strive and struggle. I've been listening, me and my wife have been listening to a guy named Damon Thompson. If you've ever heard of Damon Thompson Ministries or the Carolina Revival, the last 2 podcasts in the month of August were amazing. So I'd highly encourage you to go to your podcast app on your phone and type in Damon Thompson, Damon Thompson, and it's ministries. It'll pop up. And there's 8:1 and 8:11 and 8:20 or something. So the middle to end of August, those last 2 are amazing. And they talk about the striving and struggling and the trying to kill that part of you that you want to die, versus, which is what religion teaches, that you need to kill it. You need to like really strive and crucify that thing in your own strength. Yes, yes, we need to crucify the flesh. Yes, we need to die daily, but by submitting to the Lord, by submitting to His holiness and His righteousness, and submitting to who He has called us to be, submitting to His righteousness, and allowing His righteousness, allowing His peace, allowing His love to push that thing out of our lives, to push that thing that we're struggling with, to push it out. And so I'd encourage you, Damon Thompson Ministries, listen to those. It'll be a blessing to you. It will help you. Just excited to see what the Lord is doing. I've got an amazing meeting with someone tonight. I'll share after it goes well. So I'm expecting great things. Don't want to share it until it's final. But yeah, I've got some great things. The Lord is doing some amazing things in our lives. And so yeah, thanks for listening.